Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dobre dan. In 2009, I had the honor of telling you about the beginnings of the use of reclaimed asphalt in Austria in the South Congress. And now 6 years later, I'm able to tell you more about both the progress made and also the related findings. But first look back in 2009. What was the situation? In Austria we had in 2009 a potential about 1.5 million tons of asphalt in Austria. If we extrapolate from an estimate 3.5% of recyclable material obtainable from bitumen, and at that time a common price of 450 euro per ton, we would have a potential saving amounts to 24 million euro per year. In addition, in Austria we also have a tax, it's called Alsag, that had to be paid for depositing material in a landfill. This tax is about 9 euro per ton. Before 2009, the Austrian standards and regulations only allowed a maximum percentage of up to 10% to be used, and only for lower load classes, so we can't use it on the high-speed roadway network. Moreover, the construction companies, and also we as the clients, had only very little experience, so most of us were very skeptical. At the same time, some countries with fewer material resources, such as the Netherlands or, for example, the northern part of Germany, we are already producing asphalt mix containing high percentages of reclaimed asphalt, reaching 80%. But over the last 6 years, many things have changed for the better. The standards have been properly adapted, and also the quality of bitumen and gravels. Several pilot projects have been carried out. The one done by Asfinag in Graz was trendsetting in Austria. On the basis of what was learned, both the service items and also the requirements have been developed. The market started to optimize the processing technology. The reason why we as Asfinag were so interested in the use of reclaimed asphalt is very easy to explain. This graphic shows our entire roadway network. The total length is about 2,200 kilometers, so we have a huge amount of construction material that can be reused. Bitumen prices are generally tending to increase rather than to fall. For this reason, potential savings are fairly significant, and we also have environmental benefits. As mentioned earlier, it was an Asfinag pilot project that gave direction to the development of the reuse of reclaimed asphalt for asphalt mixes. The project was carried out in 2009 in the area around Graz, this is in Austria and Styria. The section is a part of the high traffic junction of the A9 and the A2. At the overview map, you can see both ramps which were refurbished. Ramp G, you see it here in red, was made using traditional asphalt mix, so without reclaimed asphalt. Ramp E, which is marked here in yellow, was divided in 2 sections. One was made using 15% reclaimed asphalt for the binder curves and 20% for the base curves, and the other half was made using higher percentages, 20% in the binder curves and 30% in the base curves. In preparing the tender documents, preliminary research had to be carried out in order to know more about the required quality, because in this case we want to reuse the material from the same site. The evaluation of the tested sample course showed which layers were usable and which not. The usability mainly depended on the quality of both the bitumen and stone, and especially on the percentage of round grain, which is very specific in the area in Styria and is not allowed in the Austrian standards. As you can see, these ramps have been refurbished more than once, so we had really enough material to be reused. The layering design of the ramps was planned as shown in this table. To get the material, we milled layer by layer. The rest of the material we didn't need was processed and included into the unbound base curves in order to improve the quality. Our next issue was which requirements and regulations were necessary for preparing our tender documents. First, all test results gained from the taking of sample cores were forwarded to the contractor, so it was possible to prepare the recipe for the asphalt mix and calculate the related costs. We regulate the amount of material to be reclaimed and the amount to be added, as well as the storage conditions. We fixed the project goals, the related checks, and set the quality criteria. Last but not least, we described the approval tests. One important point to be determined in the tender document was the amount of recycling asphalt to be added, the related deviation allowed, and how we regulate the penalty payments. The deviation was determined by the conditions of processing technology. The check of the amount was done by batch scales, which were included in the conveyor belts. As we had higher costs for this pilot project, we couldn't risk ending up without findings for future projects. So that's why, in this case, our penalty payments were very high. As I told before, the first step is miling the raw material layer by layer as dry as possible. The depositing has to be carried out in such a way that each layer can be stored under covering in order to keep the water content as low as possible. Using this method, we got a water content exceeding 3 to 5%, which is necessary for a good quality and also for the process in a mixing plant. Because with a too high amount of water content, you would risk damages in the facilities because of explosions by steam. In Austria, traditional mixing plants are set up with a combined system through which the asphalt mix aggregates are added. Mixing plants with parallel drums are rarely available. I think we have 3 at the moment in Austria. As there have been initiatives in order to promote the use of reclaimed asphalt, many facilities have been especially adapted for this purpose in the last 6 years. The pilot project was adapted to the conditions set by the mixing facilities available in Austria. So we use material in a cold and moist condition. This regulation allowed for a large number of bidders to submit their offers. The first inspection was carried out by the producer. So the contractor chose for reaching the quality in the base course as smooth bitumen. In the binder course, we didn't need any alternative types of bitumen or additives. The aggregate quality had been tested already in the course of the condition assessment, confirming its compliance with the set requirements. For placing and compacting, there are no differences between material with or without reclaimed asphalt. As for the compacting, our personnel manning the machines reported that the time for carrying out the compacting was a little bit shorter in this case than with normal asphalt mix. This was confirmed by the means of measurements carried out on the site. The quality was checked, as it is for every normal refurbishment, according to the Austrian standards, by taking bitumen samples and sample courses. In the pilot project, we also examined the properties of binding agents in the reclaimed material. The deformation resistance was to be confirmed according to the Asfinag regulations by a laying groove test. Here you can see the results of this test. Summarizing the results, we can say that the quality of asphalt mix containing reclaimed asphalt did not differ from that with traditional asphalt mix. The limit value of 5 was not exceeded with all test types. In addition, the grip behavior was tested by means of the roadside test system used in Austria. All test types met the set requirements. In order to take in the future the right decision, we want to know how is the behavior of the aggregates in maybe 5 or 10 years. So for this reason, the Technical University of Vienna carried out a performance-based requirement test. The crucial parameters were the low temperature behavior, the rigidity and fatigue behavior, the high temperature behavior, and in particular the resistance against permanent deformation. The results of this test shows us that for the high temperature behavior there are no new findings. The result of the low temperature test shows clearly that one of the important characteristics, the failure temperature of minus 25 degrees Celsius, was reached in any case. Material with reclaimed asphalt was a little bit better than asphalt mix made with traditional aggregates. We think it's because the contractor chose a very smooth bitumen. The crack and strain resistant behavior was also very good in all test samples. So, after 6 years, we can say there's no difference between the section constructed using traditional asphalt and the section made using asphalt mix containing reclaimed asphalt. The set limit value for the low temperature behavior is a quality-related parameter that has to be achieved. Tests can be carried out according to the traditional regulations. If necessary, performance-based requirement tests can be carried out. Penalty payment regulations have been adapted. For mixing plants in Austria, 20% reclaimed asphalt in asphalt mix is always possible, and we think 30% is at the moment the limit. In addition, the adding of reclaimed asphalt is legally allowed, and the material need not to be gained from the same construction project. And this is a big and a huge benefit because we have more time. As mentioned before, the regulations and rules have been adapted. Now in theory in Austria it's possible to add up 100% reclaimed asphalt. In addition, a code of practice for the reuse of reclaimed asphalt has been issued. In both in Austria and in Europe, the use of resources represents a crucial issue, which in Austria is regulated by means of some specific laws. The fundamental rule is recycling before landfilling. The latest regulation concerning the use of reclaimed construction materials was issued this year, and I must say the new rules didn't make it easier. Essentially, the obligation for depositing reclaimed material depends on set limit values concerning specific materials, mainly chromium and nickel. The reuse in unbound layers is possible, but very strictly regulated. A huge problem is recycling asphalt with slag. In general, it can only be used in asphalt mix again, otherwise you have to bring it into a landfill. Currently, the Asfinag standard tender documents include the following regulations. The service description includes the requirement for the aggregates containing 20% recycling asphalt. The adding of more or less is always possible, but it has to submit as an alternative offer. The exactness in terms of added recycling asphalt is plus minus 10%, related to the total amount of asphalt in place and is regularly checked by the means of batch reports. The desired amount of recycling asphalt to be added is related to the penalty payment calculations. Since these regulations came into force in Austria at the Asfinag highway net, normally a great number of bidders offer asphalt mix containing recycling asphalt. The price difference between asphalt mix with or without reclaimed asphalt is at the moment about 1 or 3 euro per ton. So we can say that our activities serve to both increase the recycling rate and change people's view about this issue. The target value of 70% set by the EU Waste Framework Directive is being exceeded in Austria. In 2014, the percentage of reclaimed construction materials was 80%. This was one of the highest reached in the EU. As this is the end of my presentation, I would like to make some conclusions on future prospects. Asfinag regulations are economical, but also protects the environment. We make optimal use of our resources and promote research and innovation. Last but not least, it has to be said that we have to put in required time for making optimal use of new developments. Thanks for your time and attention.